you think this 3D bloody eyeball is hard to make, I'll show you exactly how to do this using gel polish and base gel. And stay tuned because I have a spooky surprise at the end of the video. Okay, we're gonna start with a white base, and another color won't work because otherwise it's gonna make the design look very crop. And now we're gonna need a base coat, a gel polish base coat, because we're gonna start with the eye. The easiest way to do this, you get a small brush, a liner brush, and you pick up some base gel and you start to create basically a circle. And I recommend to use a base gel because it has a little bit thicker consistency, and that's how you can make the effect 3D. If I wanted to create this by using a color, it wouldn't really work. The eyeball would stay flat, and we want a 3D eyeball, so we're gonna need something that can help us out. And obviously this circle is very small, so we have to make this bigger like this. And of course a client's nail is not as big as this. So if we have to work on a client, which I did last year, and that client is a 60-year-old lady, and she took this design, obviously you have to measure compared to the size of the nail you work on. But also we have to think about the veins as well, so we have to leave space too. So if I'm done, I can put this in the lump for a cure. And if you're not comfortable to do this in one go, it's okay to put it up in 2 coats. Okay, we have to cure this fully, otherwise it's not gonna work, but I can show you it already has some dimension, but I show you what you can do if you wanna make this pop out more or a little bit bigger, because you don't have to work in 1 coat. What you do is you keep using the same thing you used before, and you basically paint another circle over the circle you already have. And because I use a small brush, with a small brush you can't really pick up too much, so it's okay to take your time and do it properly. And you can see I made it a little bit bigger and I made it a little bit more 3D, and I make sure the surface is smooth enough. And if I'm happy enough, I just put it in the lump for a cure. I choose this beautiful neon green for the color of the eye. It's because the green and the red has a beautiful contrast. So I know it will work perfectly together. And now I can show you again, like you can see that this is popping out a little bit more. So we've done a good job here. So now the next part will be, we're gonna give the color of the eye, which is gonna be green. So I'm using still the same brush, and I start to color just the circle. So I try to make sure I'm not gonna go on the white bit, so I go careful. If you have to do this very precise movement, the trick is you're not holding your brush in the air, because look at this, my hand is so unstable. See, I can't do anything really. So I hold it closer and I put my pinky on my other finger and I stabilize it. And that's how I can do proper, nice, precise movement. And you can see that I'm talking to you right now and I'm not in a rush. And I just take my time. I know it sounds a little boring, but believe me, if you want to get better at nail art, you can't rush it. So once we finish covering the whole eye, we have to cure it in the lump because we're gonna have to go with the next layer. So now we're gonna have to start to work on the details of the eyeball, and I'm gonna need a darker shade than this, but I don't have a darker green, so I'm gonna create it myself. So it's a simple black, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna use the same brush, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of black, and I'm gonna start to mix it into the green. We have to be careful with black because usually black is a very strong pigmented color. So you can see I picked up so little, and it got darkened like well enough. So what I'm gonna do here, I will try it, and if I think it's too it's too pigmented. So the way I can make this look a little bit more transparent, that I put out a little bit of top coat that I would usually use, and I pick up a little bit of top coat and I mix it into the green. So I'm gonna still have a dark green, but I will have a transparent version, and this is what I wanted. This is fully cured now. If your green didn't go completely perfect, that's okay, because we're gonna have the chance to fix this. So I'm getting this transparent darker green, and I'm gonna go around the edge of the eyeball. And I know you hate to hear this, but you have to take your time. Otherwise, if you really hurry it, it's gonna be ugly, and that's not what we want. So I keep going around carefully like this, and because I'm left-handed, this part will be hard, so I just turn it upside down, and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. And if you went on the white like I did, that's fine. So you shouldn't be too hard on yourself if it's not, like, you know, guys, coming out completely perfectly. The only thing you have to be careful with, that this green circle cannot be too thin, cannot be too thick, because we're gonna still need space for the iris and these kind of things. So once I'm done, I'm not gonna put it in the lump yet, because now I try to do this kind of teeny tiny little, you know, lines, as, you know, if you imagine like a human eye look like. And I don't try to drag it into the middle. I'm just gonna go basically halfway. So I do this first, and I go all around the whole circle basically. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to, you know, you don't have to paint every single line exactly the same, because if you try to make it perfect, that's gonna make it look ugly. I'm sorry to tell you this, but that's the truth. Because if you look at someone's eye, it's not perfect either. So I just do basically round them. So that's what we have so far, and now we're gonna cure this in the lump. Okay, it's fully cured again. So now I'm gonna do exactly the same thing what I did before, and I'm gonna mix the black to it. But this time I'm gonna let it to go a little bit darker than the previous shade we created. I don't want it to look like complete black, but I want this to be darker than the previous one was. And you can skip this if you want to, but I just want to show you just a teeny tiny bit of extra, because if you know me, you just know that I cannot stop myself. So what I want to do here is I have to go very carefully with this, and it has to be thin enough. So it's okay if you don't want to do it, but I just show you what's up. So I'm just gonna go in with some little bit of stripes here and there, but I don't want to cover the whole thing I already created. I just want to make it look like a little bit, you know, more depth in it, like this. And I just go around the circle like the way I did with the previous one. And also same thing, I don't try to make it look perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect at all, because that's gonna make it look good looking, that it's not perfect. So like this, and I'm nearly there. This is the hardest part for me. There you go. So once you're happy enough and you are able to control yourself, not like me because I absolutely can't, you're gonna put this in the lump. And after we cured everything, now we get the same black gel polish and our dotting tool, and we're gonna pick up some black, and with the same method that I stabilize my hand, I try to find exactly the middle of the eyeball, and I'm gonna put there one drop. It doesn't have to be too big, because if you make it too big, you know, the eye will look very kind, and we want like kind of a scarier one. So this will be perfect. And we cure it, obviously. Now the fun part, now we're gonna do the veins. You can use either burgundy or red, whatever you have, or you can use both. So now I'm gonna get this eyeball and get my brush, and probably it looks black on the camera, but I promise it is completely burgundy. So I pick a little bit of paint up and I start to work on the veins. And I try to make it as thin as possible, so I don't push my brush down like this, because look how thick this will be. But we need something thinner, so I keep holding it very, very carefully. And I try to replicate basically veins, so basically crooked, broken lines. And I try not to overdo it. And also, as always, I say we take our time. So if it comes to veins, some of them should be thicker, some of them should be thinner. So the same thing is true with this one as well, that you don't try to make it look perfect or symmetric, because it's gonna ruin the whole thing. And not every vein has to run up to the side completely. So it really should be just completely random. And because it's a gel polish, it's very soft, you can see it has a little bit of drip at the end. If you want to put this down, it will be a very thick something, so try to work with little as possible. That's how your lines are gonna be thinner. So look at this, and it already started to look so good. So that's what I'm gonna do in the whole time here. And I go on the next one. But believe me, we are not at the end yet, because there's going to be another detail we have to do. So you just keep messing about. And believe me, your clients will absolutely love this. And if I can give you an idea, before you do this on clients, if you haven't done this one before, get a tip like this and start to practice on it. And if I were you, I would do like a bigger eye first, because if the design is bigger, it's easier to work with it. And you just keep doing it, and once you're gonna feel comfortable with it, and that's when you're gonna be able to do it on clients. And also that's why I'm putting up these videos for you guys in August, because I know you want to take your time and practice. Because if it comes to nail art, I know you want to be confident. That's how I was at the beginning. I was practicing probably 14 hours a day because I had no clients at all. But actually that happened 10 years ago. So I'm gonna do a little one here, but it's gonna be a little smaller because I think it already looks so cool. So let me know in the comments how you like this so far. Because we want to make this eye look absolutely bloody, I'm going to get red this time. And guess what I'm going to do? Because I don't want this to be a too harsh color. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get my top coat and I'm going to make it look a little transparent. And I'm going to use my same brush, so you can see this whole design can be done with only one brush. So now I have a transparent red, which is absolutely perfect. Now, what I'm gonna do here, I go close to the eye, and I can see it's still too much. So what I need, if it's not transparent enough, I'm gonna add more transparent. So I want this to be see-through enough. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna put this around the eye. I'm gonna take off the excess, and I'm gonna use this teeny tiny bit of movements like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It should be random like this. And I pick up more of this and I paint a little stripe in here. And I do exactly the same thing. I know it still looks ugly, but don't worry, because we're gonna fix it in a second. I just first wanted to go around the eyeball, and after we can work on the details. So I'm nearly there here. Okay, it looks kind of weird right now, but I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna clean my brush, and I have no idea where is my transparent top coat. So I'm gonna put a little bit more here. So I have the transparent, just the transparent, and I'm gonna pick up a little bit of the transparent, and I start to do the same movement with just the transparent, which is the top coat. And that's how I can make it look like it doesn't have like a harsh line, but still very good looking. And the same rule applies here, that it doesn't have to be exactly the same radius. You have to make it look random because that's how it's gonna be good looking. So what I'm gonna do here, I will do exactly the same what I did on the other side, like this. And I think it is disgusting looking, which is really good because this is what we wanted. So now I'm going to cure this in the lump. So as I always say, you don't have to do this. You can skip it if you want, but I can show you a little bit of extra you can do. So you get your not too transparent red, and here and there you can put in a little bit more, but not around the whole eye. So you can level basically your shadow. So if it's a transparent shadow, you can put it on twice. So it's going to be at some point a little bit more darker than the other parts. And it is going to make it look more interesting and more good looking. So I decided to put a little bit just here on the bottom. And it's advised not to overdo it. But now it is absolutely good looking. So we're going to cure it again. There's one more thing I would like to show you. If you think you overdid this darker green, you can still go back with your original color, and you make sure you're going to be able to paint a very thin line, and you can pull in some lines like this if you want to. If you didn't ruin it, you don't have to, but I'm just here showing you guys what you can do if you think you overdid it. But that's why you don't have to panic if something didn't go perfectly, because you can always fix it. And believe me, in salon work, it happens a lot. So there you go. So after we cured everything we wanted to cure, of course, we can't leave it like this because we have to cover this to protect the whole design. So obviously, I'm going to use my top coat and I'm going to go all over the whole thing. And I'm going to cure it fully in the lump, and the actual full curing time is 2 minutes. And it's okay if you use a little bit more top coat this time, because you still have the 3D effect. So you do not have to worry about this. And I'm near enough to show you the surprise I mentioned at the start of the video. So here is the reveal. Yes, I used a glow-in-the-dark base here. From Crystal Nails, and I put on 3 layers of white to make sure it's gonna be glowy enough, and I think it looks absolutely crazy good. But if you don't have glowy gel polish, that's fine, because it's gonna be really good looking without it anyway. Also, I have already a video on my channel on Halloween nail art. If you want to check that out, that's for beginner and easy ones as well. I really hope you like this tutorial. I really hope I could help you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.